we're gonna get into it, and we got our drink to help us through, because we're about to go through it. What's up, beauty bosses? Asia here. Welcome back to my channel. So if you guys seen just my little first clip, we're going to get into some pretty heavy conversation today. This is all centered around friendships, and we are going to discuss friendships once you hit like adulthood. And I'm talking about friendships after the college phase, of course, after high school, just into your adulthood. So I would say probably from ages 25 on up. And this is just something that I've been talking to other people about, things that I've experienced as well. And I felt like this needed to be talked about. And what better way to do that than on my platform? So you guys know, no holds bars with me. I tell you guys everything that's going on, everything that's on my mind, good, bad, or ugly. And I just felt like this is something that I really needed to talk about and really kind of process through and just kind of just work through. Like I said, this isn't just my experience. These are the experiences of the collective and things that I felt like needed to be discussed. So if you guys are new here, welcome to my channel. I don't really have like a set thing I talk about. I talk about it all. And so today, like I said, it's going to be about friendships. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell so you don't miss any updates from me. And we are going to just get rolling with this. Okay, so backstory. What made me start diving into this topic and wanting it to be a discussion on my channel? Well, like I said, I've been talking to a couple of people, and these people are ranging from ages 25-ish, 24, 25, all the way up to these are 60-year-olds. So I've talked to just a wide array of people, and specifically women, because I feel like guys, once they have their cliques and their friends, they're pretty good with hanging on to them. Now, some that just have life happening and they do lose, connection, because I've seen that happen among men as well. But this is more prevalent in women and women's friendships. And I just felt like, we needed just to have that honest and open discussion. And again, this is only from my side and the people that I've talked to. Everybody's story is going to be different no matter what. So I just felt like let's just roll with what I've heard and what I've seen. Drink, and we're going to really dive into this. So, like I said, backstory. I just noticed as I was getting older the changes in the dynamics of friendship. In mine specifically, I noticed that the friends that I've had throughout my life, there are still some that are there, and even some that I've reconnected with, which I absolutely love. But then there's also some who have totally fallen off, and I don't really hear from that much and don't really spend any time with. Other than birthdays or major like events, life events that are happening, kids, marriage, etc. So as I was going through the phases, of getting older and realizing that friendships are changing, it prompted me to kind of look and study the friendships of other people. In my case specifically, I noticed that sometimes I tend to be kind of like the odd man out with the friendships. So when I say that, and this is totally open and honest, I feel like I have like a set friend or, a set group of friends, but they all have other friends that, they tend to gravitate towards more. And I don't really understand why that is, but I have noticed that several times, especially with friendships that have been older friendships, then maybe we were close at one point and then they started to kind of drift off. And I'm not going to just blame one side on that. That friendships are a total work. Like, it is a job to have a friendship. You have to communicate. You have to be open to see each other. It is very similar to dating, although I feel like friendship breakups are way worse than regular breakups. But I just, in my experiences, I've noticed that the older I get, the more my friendship circle, I'm looking for quality versus quantity, which is a lot different than how I used to be. I used to just want as many friends as possible. Everybody is welcome. I don't really care. I'm always open and down for new friends. And I still feel like I'm that same way. I feel like I'm very open to having new friends from all walks of life. Like there's really not like a set person that I can't say that I haven't clicked with, just because I don't really. I mean, I just feel like I do me, and that's it. But with friendships, I've noticed as you get older and life starts to happen, keeping those friendships and keeping them in contact and keeping them as friendships and close friendships can be quite a task. So, I actually have a friend who recently started connecting with new people. She started going out a little bit more. You know, she lives in a different state, so she moved there and didn't know anybody. But she ended up going out a couple of times, meeting some Greek girlfriends, and she said that they had such fun, like so much fun. And she was like, I text them a couple of times, talk to them about, asking them how their days are going, just building, because any friendship, just like a relationship, needs a solid foundation. So she was like, I was texting them, checking in on them, seeing how they were doing, blah, blah, blah. But I noticed that it was not being reciprocated. She was like, and it was kind of disheartening because here I am in a new space and I'm looking for new friends to do things with, especially friends who live in the same state that I live in. She was like, but I felt like the conversations always fell flat. Like there was never any kind of like solid planning. Like when do you guys want to hang out? Do you want to go get brunch? Do you want to have dinner? There was never any solid like plans. There was always well, we'll see. And I do notice that as well in friendships, especially as you get older. And you guys don't really have like the common themes. Like you don't go to school together, so you don't see each other in class. You don't work together, so you don't always see each other. Like your only communication and seeing each other is a full on plan, or unless you FaceTime and talk on the phone, which a lot of people don't do for some reason. But she was like, it was kind of disheartening because I felt like I really had found some really nice girlfriends and the conversation fell flat. So, pair that with my instance, that's two. Another woman, she is in her late 40s, and she said that she met somebody out, like she was out to dinner, I think. And she was like, I always sit at the bar and I always sit there, because a lot of single people and people who are just, going in to get their dinner or whatever don't want to sit down at a table, you go sit at the bar. So she said, I met this person at the bar. We totally hit it off, hung out even after the fact. Like she was like, we went out, hung out, and I thought we were developing a really good friendship. Then I get left on red. She's like, I reached out and I was left on red. She was like, they left me on red and I still haven't heard from them. And I don't even know why. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I thought we were really clicking and now I don't hear from them. And they left me on red. And they have their read receipts on, which makes it even worse because it lets you know, yes, I have read your message, but I'm not going to respond. So, three instances. Let's see, what else? I actually, in my personal experiences, have friends who will text, but as soon as you want to make a plan, gone. They just don't respond, And so at this point in my life, I feel like things are a work in progress, and if I'm trying, but you're not, I'm done. Like I'm at that point now where I don't really have the time or the energy to deal with like chasing you down to do things. Like I just am at the point where I'm like, I'm good. Whatever I want to do, I'll go do by myself, or I will do that with the people who want to do that with me. I'm not really much into giving chances. I'm not really much into like, oh, 3, 4, 5 times I invite you somewhere and you don't come. That's not happening. You probably get two out of me, maybe, and that's being very generous because I just don't have time. I don't like you're no busier than I am, and you aren't any more important than I am, and I'm making the effort, so I feel like you should too. So, in those stories and me saying that is to say that I feel like as we get older and we don't have those common grounds with people, it becomes more and more difficult to maintain those friendships. And at that point, I feel like you really start to see who is your friend really and who is just a friend out of a convenience or just an acquaintance, because it's just way too much up in the air. And I feel like if you have a genuine connection with someone, whether that be male or female, and that connection should stay effortless. You know, you should make the plans. You should do things. You know, life is short, and people really don't want to do stuff alone. I mean, some people are okay with that. You know, there are times where I can sit in my house all weekend and not do a thing, but there are times where I want to get out and connect with people. But I feel like in those connections, there has to be effort made, and if there isn't effort made, peace. Like, we're not dealing with that, and that's men, women, whatever. Like, you should not be expending your energy on people who will leave you on red, who won't text back and won't make any plans, who are very fickle, and you know, when you want to do something, or if they do have an opportunity to do something, they don't invite you. You don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. Like, again, you have the ability to travel and do all the things you want to do, or go out, you know, eat, go out, hang out, kick it, whatever. You have all that ability to do by yourself, but finding somebody who matches that effort is important. And I just feel like as we get older, you know, people will really let you kind of know where you stand with them at that point. And I just feel like navigating adult friendships is very tricky, because you do have to account for as well, like, you know, if they have children, they have a husband, you know, they have other friends that they're doing things with, you do have to be, you know, understanding of that. So now I'm not just saying like, no, you know, I'm your only friend and that's it. No. But at the same time, if I am making the effort with you and you decide to make the effort with other people, that lets me know where I stand with you. And at that point, I'm going to preserve my energy, and you will not be getting that anymore. So I just wanted to jump on and talk about that, because I've had many instances. Like I said, I've talked to people in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, and their 50s, and they all have similar stories. And it's so odd to me, because I always want to know like the secret recipe to a lasting friendship in your adulthood, you know, and I don't know exactly what that looks like, but once I figure it out, I will let you guys know. So, with that being said, I just wanted to kind of get on, talk to you guys about that, see what you guys are thinking about that. Like, do you have friends that you've had for forever and you're still friends and you guys still get together? Are you having issues navigating friendships? You know, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about this topic? Is it something that we, especially as women, should be talking about and should be discussing? Because this is a huge thing within women that I've noticed. Um, but I would love to hear you all's comments about that, your thoughts, because it is something that is, as I am turning pages of life, I am noticing that those things are a little different. And, you know, meeting and vibing with people and people vibing with you, I feel like it is a fine art. There's like a very fine line between that. So I would just love to know what you guys' thoughts are on this video. Again, I will make a part 2 once I hear more stories, because I know I will. But in the meantime, if you guys have stories you'd like to share, drop them down below, or you can send me an email to azuracosmetics@gmail.com. I will keep your story and your name anonymous, just because I don't feel like, you know, outing people for their situations is really, you know, that thing. So I will keep your information private, but I will share your story if you have one. And I would love to do that, because I feel like this is something that needs to be discussed, because sometimes the shit just gets too ridiculous. So I just wanted to jump on, talk to you guys about that. We are going to go ahead with our tonic, and we are going to go enjoy this beautiful day, and we are going to work on these friendships, honey. We're going to work on them, and we are going to call in and manifest good friendships for 2025 and beyond, because that is something that's very important. It does take a village. It takes, you know, support, you know, mental health support, things like that. You need good friends for that, but people have to be good friends in order for that to work. So with that being said, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell so you don't miss any updates from me. And I will be back, but next time I think that I'm going to be talking about relationships and dating in 2025, because I know I can talk about that for 20,000 hours. So again, guys, I will be back with the next video. We'll talk to you guys later.